Maybe that'll get us a better picture when it pauses the video,
Maybe.
because other times we just look sleepy.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, we're trying this for like the third time on this one episode, but we wanted to make sure our Facebook folk could hear us loud and clear. We believe that you can. If not, go to SoundCloud because we'll upload it, and whenever
Yes.
David gets it back to us, which is usually like lightning fast. I don't know how he does it, if he's a wizard, but he gets it back to us quickly. We're about to start our recording on Adobe Audition. This podcast is not sponsored by anybody. However, if you are interested in sponsoring this podcast, hit us up. All right, we are officially recording there. We have our beautiful Facebook Live audience on the laptop.
Perfect.
We're sitting at our breakfast
Nook,
nook.
table,
It's not a hutch. I keep wanting to say hutch.
coffee and tail.
Boom. This table was provided by my sister-in-law, the owner of Salt's Commercial Cleaning.
If you live in the Tyler, Texas area,
Yeah,
that
so
would you.
she gave it to us, so I feel like we just paid her back.
Mhm.
We're all even. Boom. That's how you do that.
Tip of the day: don't owe anybody anything.
Right. Neither a borrower nor a lender be is, I think, what the word said in First Hesitations. So, it could be second imaginations.
I was like,
Can't be
okay.
I think
I was
that
like, I
is-
know I'm not good at math, but are you not good at the Bible?
I may not be good at. I don't remember references in the Bible.
Me either.
So, this is all
Game.
preamble. I feel like it's dark on us, so I'm going to take our little Pixar light here. I'm over here. Where do you go?
I don't know if that is. I don't know if that worked. It's okay.
So turn that off.
You don't have to. I just don't know if it's doing anything. But
It's because of we're letting in natural light.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway,
Enough shenanigans.
let's get this ball rolling.
Hey, Facebook notified me that we're on there, so
Great.
hey, hit us up in the comments. Anything that we find at the end of the recording, we will answer, comment back, give some shout outs. We're going to tee up the audio so that we keep David, the producer, happy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to steal it because on Entree Leadership, they have Eric, the producer, and I always wanted to have that like cool off-screen character that you never hear from.
That they think could quite possibly be behind the computer, but he's not.
He's well. If he was behind the computer, he'd be standing outside the building looking in, and that'd be creepy.
Well, they didn't know that.
But now they do.
Now they do.
You're in a windowsill. But no, I like that. It's like what was it on like a long time ago? You won't remember this. Regis and Kathy Lee.
No, I remember that.
Gelman. Like I don't think you
Gelman.
ever saw him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Eric the producer. So we're gonna have David the producer, and we'll talk about him, and then make up things about him.
Yeah, I like that.
But maybe good things.
Yeah.
At first.
Yeah, like, did you hear David save that cat from the tree the other day?
That is very possible because he is tall. Like, really tall.
Oh, well, I've never met him, so.
I don't know. He's like 6'12" or something.
Wow. Cool.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so.
Yes,
Get
let us do this. So count us in and do our introduction. You remember all the things for our introduction?
Yeah, that's what was going over my head. Should I say this is Hannah with the Phoenix 21 Creative Agency, and you are listening to the Business Rising Podcast? Or should I say, hey guys, welcome to the Business Rising Podcast. I'm Hannah Bauer with the Phoenix. That one?
I like the second one.
All right, here we go. Ready? And 3, 2. Hey guys, thank you for listening to the Business Rising Podcast. I am Hannah Bauer from the Phoenix 21 Creative Agency, and I am here with Kenny Lang, the founder.
Hello, Hannah.
What's up, Kenny?
I'm sipping on some drink that I don't know the name of, but it's delicious and it has caffeine, and that's about all I care about.
I'm actually right there with you, except I know what my drink is, but I'm more so drinking it for the caffeine because I need the caffeine today.
Right. Everybody should stay fully caffeinated. So I think that should make its way into the pyramid, the nutrition pyramid. I'm trying to make you can't see me right now. I'm trying to make a pyramid, and apparently I'm geometrically challenged right now.
Make a triangle.
Maybe once I drink the coffee.
Maybe it's just your thumbs.
What do you have against my thumbs?
I don't know. Let's post a picture on our Facebook page and let people decide.
What's wrong with Kenny's thumbs? Go.
Just kidding. No, it's a Friday where we are right now, sitting here recording, but it feels like a Monday.
Yeah, years from now, people will listen to this and hear the Friday in our voices.
Yeah. See, I'm feeling like it. I know it's going to be a long day for me. Long day in the office. Well, longer than my usual Fridays.
Truth.
And it's just a rainy, dreary day, so it just feels like a Monday.
You know, it was like bright and sunny in the very middle of the day.
Yeah.
It was really weird. Just began and end on a cloudy note.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what cloudy notes remind me of?
I couldn't even begin to imagine.
Our podcast, what we're talking about today. I tried to loop that in so we didn't have to be like, okay, well, let's get started. But then actually I realized that comparing our podcast to a rainy, dreary day probably wasn't the best thing.
Yeah,
So,
listen to our podcast. It'll make you sad.
Great. I'm sure they have some podcasts like that for people who want to be sad. But we're going to talk about something that should make you not sad because we are talking about best investments to grow your small business.
Absolutely.
And I personally, not saying this for any certain recognition or kudos or props or extra things, but I can't personally think of a better person to be having this conversation with because Phoenix 21 Creative Agency is just now coming up on its 2-year reunion at the end of this month.
Reunion? You make us sound like a high school.
Anniversary.
Did you mean anniversary?
Anniversary.
2-year reunion, yeah. We disbanded. We've been operating out of a basement secretly with no business license.
Yeah, okay, anniversary. We already talked about how it's Monday in both of our brains. Okay.
But yes, our 2-year anniversary.
Yeah. Let me get back to the nice sentimental thing that I was saying. So we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary, and Kenny, you started Phoenix 21 Creative Agency. You own it. It's your thing. It's your baby. So let's talk about the investments that you've made that brought you to brand new office.
What?
Recording our podcast, which this is episode
4. We didn't say that at the beginning, but that's okay.
We're saying it now. This is
That's
episode
okay.
4, so we're just now kind of still venturing into this new adventure of business podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just talk memories, good, bad, the ugly, the investments that you made that brought you here.
Right. Well, the investments I'd made, I would say to help start it, happened a long time before we actually started. And that's one thing that people, I think in general, they just think, oh, I'm going to start something, and now I'm going to start researching it and doing things to move the ball forward. But really, it was, at minimum, probably 2 years in the making, and at its longest was, I don't know, 20 years, because I built my first website when I was 8.
Wow.
Shout out to angelfire.com. When my best friend and I built a website because we hated the Four Horsemen and Ric Flair as a wrestling website. Right? Yeah, so
I can't relate. I don't.
high quality content.
I don't go that far back. I think the earliest I can think back was Zynga, and that was technically just like a blog.
That was. Zynga was awesome.
But even most people my age don't know that.
Yeah, well, you got an old soul.
Yeah. Or I tried to be older when I was younger. I was like 8 with Zynga, so.
Yeah, I can only imagine the descriptions and stories you were sharing at that age.
You don't even want to know. I can still remember
Hey,
my
if you're listening to this and you can find Hannah Bauer's Zynga somewhere, because nothing on the internet ever gets deleted, if you can find that, we will send you something.
My name was either Cheese is my thing or I love Krabby Beach Bums. I don't know where where either of those came from. I mean, I do love cheese, but I don't know where the Krabby Beach bones
Yeah.
came from. So yeah, if you can find it and shoot it to us, I will. Honestly, I would love that. That would
If
be
you
hilarious.
can find any historical proof of this blog that she had on Zynga, we'll figure something out. We'll get in contact with you, and we will send you something. I don't care. It may be just an Amazon gift card. We may do some random drawing. I don't know. We'll figure something
If you're
out.
listening, Hannah Bauer, that's Hannah Bauer.
And like if you're listening to this and it's like the year 2021, the contest is over. So this applies to like 2017 only.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You got about 7 months to do it if you're going to
yeah.
6, 7
So
months.
if it's a few years, stop living in the past. Anyways,
Anyway,
the investments I made were all on myself, and if you're a small business owner, you are the lid of your organization. That's one of John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And so if you want your business to grow, if you want it to go further, then you have to first. And something that just popped in my head is that I learned from Pastor Perry Noble, who is now running his own business and church consultancy, and even won a John Maxwell Leader of the Year award, I think last year or a year before. I think it was in 2015. So he knows a thing or two. He said that there is no such thing as a cheap leader. And one of the verses he cites, and I can't ever remember verses and chapters and stuff for whatever reason, but there is a piece of scripture in the Old Testament in Psalms or Proverbs that says, "Get wisdom at all costs."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things I try to do is I try to get wisdom and invest in myself around building a platform, building online. Michael Hyatt, who, if you're into blogging or building a platform or doing online marketing, you've probably come across him. He has, one of the most successful personal blogs I think in the world. If you're getting over 1 million visitors a month on your website, you're probably doing something right. So I invested in books, webinars, courses, and just my own experimentation. And I think that can't be underrated. Yes, there are great classes and courses. I'm a teacher at heart, and so I'm looking forward to the day when our business grows to the point where it makes sense for us to formally put on webinars and workshops and do one-on-one coaching. We do that now with clients, but it's kind of just this, thing we build in and we talk to them, through their problems when we evaluate their marketing. But those webinars and workshops and books, all those things are great, but there's something to be said about getting out and getting your hands dirty and just actively participating in whatever it is you're curious about.
So when we're talking about investments, so you think that to grow a small business, it's not all about just the money investments?
No, I think that is part of it. Again, another Bible verse is, I believe it goes, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not one over the other. Like, I'll spend money where I'm passionate. You'll become passionate about where you spend your money.
Right.
But time, I believe, is an even more valuable resource. So if you're investing time into learning, cultivating, talking to people who are smarter than you, further down the path, seeking out mentors, setting up an advisory board, things like that, those are investments that you can make. And early on, when you're starting, you don't have jack crap. And nobody owes you anything. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever owes you anything. That's the beauty of if you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, and you're in the U.S., that's one of the beautiful things about the way our economic system works.
Yeah.
Is nobody owes you anything. So if you do a good job and you operate with integrity and you have a solid product or service, then you get to succeed. Um, so starting out, you may not have a whole lot of money. I'm not a fan of, I have, I guess, respect for those people who do go out and seek out venture capital, or those people who have built a successful business with a small business loan. I'm not saying that there's only one way to do things.
Right.
But I will say I'm a fan of client-funded businesses. I think that there's a book by that title that I'm aware that so if somebody finds that, I think there is a book by that name that I haven't read yet. But we're entirely client funded.
Right.
I didn't go out and get a small business loan. I didn't say, hey, I have this great idea to start an agency and go find some venture capitalist or rich uncle or something like that. I was like, okay, well, I know what I can do, and I'll just start there, and I'll charge somebody, and the next time maybe I'll charge a little more, once I've gathered up the courage. So, because pricing what you're worth is something even now still can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a different talk for another day. So, early on, if you don't have a whole lot of money to invest into something, you have time. And time is your resource. Time is, that's your capital. So you get to decide where you spend it. So spend it wisely. Don't waste time with stupid stuff that doesn't help, or things that are so trivial that they won't make a long-term difference. So that's where I decided to spend my time. So early, I would say the heart of our business and agency, and what I still feel like is the most valuable thing, even though now we do have more clients, more cash flow. We're in this, this beautiful office with toasted almond walls, which kind of makes me hungry.
I just don't think it looks like toasted almond.
Well,
I don't know where they got that name.
I don't know where they
It
get
looks
half
like
of the name.
sand.
Okay, so we're on the beach.
So-
What? But then that makes me that guy who wore jeans to the beach, so that's weird. Anyways,
Oh well.
So I would say investments have to start with your time. They will affect your wallet to some extent, but I think the best investment you can make is where you spend your time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have, millions of dollars, where you spend your time, I think, will still generate the biggest ROI.
And that's going to be a different timeline for each individual person and their business. But for you personally, what did that look like?
What did, spending time, where did I spend my time?
Mm-hmm. How long did it take before you started seeing some return on what you were investing time in learning and?
Once we actually started the agency?
Yeah.
I would say it was. It was probably after about 6 months, because we started June 30th, which is our anniversary date. That's somewhat arbitrary. I just picked when I purchased the first domain name that we had, and that worked out. But it was probably that November, December.
Okay.
Before I felt like some things were picking up, and I got a series of several little projects
Yeah.
that I felt like, oh my gosh, okay, so I do have something that I can offer people, and this is how this goes. And by then I'd gotten my first retainer, and that was going well. And what I was doing in that retainer helped me get 2 really quick jobs that were totally unexpected. That allowed me to actually have some cash flow.
Yeah.
And by cash flow, I mean not be homeless. So, because that's important, because
important.
I started out, like I said, I started, every founder has their different story, and, Ramsey Solutions talks a lot about Dave starting with a card table in his living room. Well, I started with a MacBook Air on a TV tray. That's my founder story, and that's pretty much what I had. And then I was able to start paying some bills by that fall, and actually see like, oh, well, we might have some money left in the bank and not be terrified. I mean, the reason I say November, December is because the month of October, that fall, I literally only made $300.
Wow.
And we are a family of 5.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of, God bless you.
Thank you.
That's going to be awesome for podcast listeners. So obviously there's a tremendous amount of fear.
Yeah.
And when you feel like resources are scarce, you don't feel like you can invest, but you need to invest to help you get more resources. So it feels like this catch-22 and you feel trapped. So when I started getting those extra jobs, investing time in certifications, more online training, and just doing more jobs and projects, I started to get more. I started to get more knowledge. Invoices and things like that, because I didn't like, hey, I'm going to go and work for 10 years in an agency and work my way up, and I really see how this is working, and now I'm going to jump out, which probably would have been the smart thing to do. I literally spent 3 months in an agency, in a creative agency. Before that, I was selling insurance, commercial insurance, and before that, I was an admissions recruiter for a university. Like, it didn't tie together. I had no prior experience and no prior business operations experience. And so the only thing I had were the podcasts, which those are free, and I would listen to, probably 8 to 10 hours a week. I was listening to those, and then I was reading blog posts. I was trying to interact with people who I set up an advisory board and asked, different. Now we're up to 5, but at the time had 4 different men who had built businesses, been successful in a business, or just provided a really unique viewpoint for me to develop services and everything. And I would talk to them, and I would throw the dumbest questions at them, over the smallest detail, so that I could learn, and I had to learn quickly.
Right.
And thankfully, I do learn quickly. That's actually one of the assets that I happen to have. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the best, I could say, well, I'm the best web designer. I'm not the best web designer. I'm not the, going to list off these different things and say, I'm the absolute best at that. My goal, honestly, is to hire the best and to grow this thing. What I'm really good at is learning, and what I'm really good at is people. And at the end of the day, business is people. It's not ones and zeros. It's not products and services. It's people.
Right.
And so I know that if I can, reverse engineer that with what I'm passionate about, which really is the web design, the marketing, the creative, the graphic design, the stuff like that, I know that I can learn really quickly and really well and then execute long enough to where I can hire someone who actually is like a specialist in that area. Then we'll build and we'll be okay. And so far, we're panning out, to pass even 1 year in business, puts you in some rare company. 1 million small businesses are started every year, and 800,000 of them won't make it to year 1 to celebrate their 1 year reunion or
anniversary.
Or anniversary for those of you who prefer that verbiage. So that's a really long answer, but getting started, it was a lot about time, and then some about money. There were some people like Brennan Dunn has some great products, services. And I think I bought a book of his that included, some online coaching as well, and then I got to interact with him via email a few times, which he's fantastic, especially if you are looking to be a freelancer. He's fantastic, but there are applications for those looking to build businesses with team members in an agency because he's done that as well. And then I kind of coasted off of that, and then got connected with HubSpot in that month of October, and started walking through some of their processes to see if being a partner agency was going to be beneficial. And honestly, it ended up being very beneficial because it gave me just a track to run on for some education, business proposals, stuff like that, and helped me pull a lot of stuff together along with everything else I was pulling in. So, I invested in what little financial resources I had very selectively. And I still try to do that and should probably more money, but I was very, very selective. So it was only if I thought it was the best of the best did I spend money. Other than that, I found everything for free that I could. I mean, we are living in a time where almost every piece of information that you could ever want to educate yourself on any topic whatsoever is available. And not to steal anybody's, little quotes or anything, but there's a great website that you can go to if you are wanting to learn something. Here's the URL. It's google.com. Yeah.
Wow. I
Google.
was getting ready to write that down.
Right. Google and YouTube. You can find out. You want to know about Facebook ads?
Google.
Look up Facebook ads. You want to know about how automated drip campaigns? Look that up. Do you want to know how to weld something at a 45-degree angle? Do that. You want to know how to program? Get on, learn a coding language. Google it, or free plug for something that I'm walking through is Free Code Camp. Woo! But there are plenty of great free resources to level yourself up, either in something brand new or to deepen your knowledge and understanding in something you already are in.
Right. I want to touch on, you've said at the beginning you only spent money on what you thought was the best of the best, or was going to get you places, and you spend your time. When did you start branching out with more of the expensive things, like hiring people on? Was that one of the first things you decided to go for, or was it more software just to help you do multiple things at the same time? Was it?
That's a great question. So, to be honest, until about 18 months in, hiring someone felt like a pipe dream to me, because I was like, wow, that'll happen one day, this glorious day, and then I'll have a team of employees, and when I walk in, we'll all sing instantaneously. Well, let's put some ideas together and see what we can come up with, and maybe we'll record them and put them on, our. That sounds something for Instagram stories.
Yeah.
But I would say the first real thing I invested in. I love Apple products. I'm an Apple evangelist, apologist, otherist, and I really wanted the Apple Watch when it came out, because I was just like, if I have that, people will think I'm successful. It's also really cool because I love the nerd stuff that I could do with it. Like to put a phone call into your voicemail by just covering the face of it just felt like the most just badass thing that you could do. Like that.
I didn't even know that was I didn't know that was one of the
right?
features. Now I
yeah.
want one.
So
They've
now
been out for forever, but now I want one.
Now you want one because you, if nothing else, just to cover the wrist and send someone a voicemail. So I wanted that. So for my birthday and Christmas are fairly close together. So typically what I do is I just ask, family members and stuff for money. And please don't write me about money's not a real gift. If you're not down with that, you're not down with that. But that's how I roll. So I would usually do that though and say, hey, I am targeting one gift that is bigger than any one family member or friend would purchase for me. Can you please just contribute it? So at its basic sense, it's a very basic form of crowdfunding. So it's
Yeah.
like my own personal holiday GoFundMe. And I wanted the $400 for the Apple Watch Sport. It's like, yeah, it's going to be black and it's going to be awesome and I'm going to run and I'm going to be like cool. Well, I held on to that money and I was like, okay, well, I'm hearing rumors they're going to release a second one. I'll hold on to my cash because I always want whatever's the latest and greatest. As my parents say, I have a champagne taste on a beer budget. And that March, which is when I thought, some tech websites had said they heard they were going to announce the new Apple Watch. Well, they didn't. And I talked to one of my advisors, your dad, and I asked him, I was like, I feel like my MacBook Air is just too small of a screen to really be doing web design and what I want to do. And I have this cash, but I really want the Apple Watch, but I could take that cash and I could buy an external monitor. It would be big. I want 27 inch. It'd look awesome, and I could do 2 screens. And he said something. I don't know if you've ever had someone give you advice so good. It kind of made you mad because you knew how right they were about it. And he said, invest in your business now so you can afford the Apple Watch later.
Wow, my dad's a genius.
Right. So tweet that. And insert whatever whatever the equivalent, whoever you are listening, whatever your Apple Watch is, invest in your business now so you can afford it later.
That actually is a good tweet.
And if you don't remember anything else, remember that, because that's the whole key to investment is you have to see your business like a child, like a person, like a member of your family. It needs to eat, it needs clothes, it needs exercise, it needs everything possible that you would give a living, breathing being to stay alive and to grow and to flourish. You've got to treat it like that, and that's the exact way that I went about it. For right, wrong, or indifferent, I chose to invest in the business and saw my finances as wholly separate. Like the business has its own account because very early on, a lot's intermingled, and when you're a sole proprietor, because it doesn't make sense to have all the LLC and S corp and all this fancy stuff until later on down the line. And so I was like, no, it needs its own money. It needs this. It has operating expenses. It has its own budget. And so I invested in the screen. And I also took a little bit of my own extra cash above and beyond my Apple Watch cash. And I got a really nice mouse because I'm constantly sitting there, so it was comfortable. Hopefully I'm avoiding carpal tunnel. And a really cool solar-powered wireless keyboard. And so I had a really nice setup, and it felt reinvigorated. It felt awesome. I felt like I could, build 10 websites at once. It felt incredible. And then later that year, we finished the first year because I had invested in myself, in systems. To go back to your question, I invested in software. I invested, the hardware was the screen, which you can kind of see if you're on Facebook Live, and if you're listening to the podcast, go back to our Facebook page. But there's this monitor back behind, this Asus. It's the MQAX, I don't know. It's something cool. But it is a beautiful 27-inch monitor. But we replaced our income that we had previously been on salary in the first year.
Wow.
And honestly, that's nothing short of a miracle. I definitely believe wholeheartedly that Jesus covered the business and blessed it because I felt like I I jokingly told people, I was like, I know Jesus is in what I'm doing because I'm way too dumb to see this kind of success. And
I still feel that.
right, and it wasn't until like that fall. I mean, I got more software. I started adding little bits and pieces, and then ended up buying the iMac that I bought used. I bought on eBay. So those were some big purchases, but early on I knew I needed to establish things to make myself look professional. So that was FreshBooks for invoicing software. And this isn't like nobody's paying me to say this, I'm just telling you what I used. But FreshBooks is an amazing invoicing software. I know that there's a lot of controversy about it not being a true accounting software. I don't care, but it's beautiful when it comes to invoicing. Dialpad, I got in early. I mean, I don't even know that they had been up and running for 6 months when I jumped on Dialpad to have a professional mainline and personal phone number that would ring my phone, so
Which
that
is the coolest thing ever.
right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
If you haven't looked into Dialpad, you should.
Do it. I mean, I think we have an affiliate link or referral, something. I honestly don't care. Just be successful.
Yeah.
So, but that was important for communication. One, so I could shut it off so that when I went home to my family, I was home with my family.
Yeah.
If I don't, I know I said it's a living, breathing being, but as a small business owner, if you aren't taking care of your family stuff and actually spending time with them, it's not going to pan out well for you because you're going to burn out one or the other. Then we have, I'm trying to think, we did add HubSpot fall. That was a bigger expense. Trying to think what, invested in a server and to host our website along with others. We became, a partner with Flywheel, and we love them. They're such a great group of people. I'm to the point now where I know that they're them on a first name basis. So I'm trying to think what else. Those are some of the early ones that I can think of
Right.
that I would invest in. But and G Suite. It's $5 a month for all of Google's platforms with extended, capacity. So I think, I probably have a blog post somewhere about the tools that I use, but a phone system, G Suite. I'm sorry that there's not even competition. So if you're not looking at Google and G Suite for your business, you just I just flat out don't see how you're operating. And then invoicing, you need a way to professionally deliver both email and mail invoices and be able to get those back quickly and take payments online or have recurring billing, which is big for the agency world because we operate mostly on retainers for like web care or inbound retainers, or sometimes we get creative and we have one client that does a series of projects, but you need to be able to handle that because if you can't maintain cash flow, then none of this matters.
Right. What about, when did you know that it was